Okay, so I'm down in my basement working on my batteries. That was the voltage, a bench top. I don't know what what it's exactly called, but I set it to a maximum of 3.6 volts. It's been connected for a few days, and it's supposed to be slowly charging my battery bank here. Covered up, just safety, because there's still voltage going across here. So these are 16 batteries hooked up in series, like in parallel. Okay, look at that there. And it's connected to that, which is supposed to charge those to 3.6. And what that is, it's going to top balance all the batteries. So in other words, even though the batteries, the way I tested them before, even though they had all been at 3.27 to 3.28, even though they're that close, and the BMS will kind of fix that a little bit, the problem is you don't know the state of charge, because with lithium iron phosphate batteries, they're so flat that one could be giving out 3.27 volts and be half discharged, while the one next to it can only be a quarter of the way discharged and show 3.28. So what you do here is you connect them all together, and they'll balance. They actually will balance to each other. Now the other thing, that if you bring them up, that means you bring them all up even. So these should all end up being top balanced at 3.6 volts. However, I have a bit of a problem. That should have been, even as like the voltage will change, but the amperage will change. That's supposed to drop off slowly. And when I check these batteries here, I don't know how I'm going to do that. Bottom of the screen, the voltage will show up. It's got to move these wires here. I'm going to go to the first one here, and the first one will usually show more voltage. I got 3.31. I go to the second one, I get 3.30. Let's skip all the way to the last one. Yeah, I won't be able to read it. Let's go to the middle one here. And again, I get 3.30. So they've charged up from 3.27 to that, but then they've stopped. And I'm kind of lost as to what to do now. I know one person that I saw, they split them into 4 batteries and charged 4 batteries because it charges up a lot quicker. That's a lot of power than I'm trying to charge up there. So I'm going to leave it like this for a little bit longer, and then I don't know. Don't know what to do. I'm kind of check the connections. Is a little daunting for me. I mean, in the end, it's like 56 volts DC, which can kill you. So it can be dangerous. And then, the other thing is it's it's going to weigh over 200 pounds. So anyways, just kind of keeping you informed on what's going on with the batteries. So just an update on my battery pack. What I ended up doing was bang, I disconnected the full 16 bank of batteries, and now I'm trying to do just 4 at once. I was ready to give up because it hadn't moved. But now I'm up to 3.33. And I'm going up to 3.6. So it has moved. Um, so I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know. I was going to raise the current going in there. It says a charging current at 3.65 volts. And when I measure it on my voltage meter, it says I get 3.45 going into the battery. So I thought I'd maybe raise that just to up the speed. You know what? I might just do that. Because we're going up north again probably tomorrow. So I can keep an eye on it today and then watch it. Just kind of this sort of thing makes me nervous, but just an update. So it is slowly going up now that I have 4. So what I can do is I can do 4 and then do another 4 and then another 4 after that. Yeah, I can do it in 4s. I saw that on the one YouTube thing where they just did 4 at a time. So as long as they go up to the proper voltage, the same voltage each one, it should be balanced. Even if I probably took it up close to where and then hooked them all back up together again, they will even each other out over time. All right, so I'm down in my basement again, working on my batteries. Kind of wanted to give a little update. This is getting very frustrating for me. I don't know why it's taking so long to charge these batteries up, other than maybe they were just sitting too long. I don't know. They're not supposed to lose that much power just sitting, like when you get them delivered. But is I have this thing set at 3.65 volts. So it's showing 3.64, but it was set at 3.65 as a maximum, which it's supposed to be. It's drawing 4.2 amps. I have it hooked up to one cell only. And I'm going to show this. I'm up to, these are really funny connections because the gray one is the negative and the black one is the positive. Go figure. And I'm at 3.0, almost 3.38. Come on, get up there. I mean, if I got it to 3.4 volts, it wouldn't be that bad. So anyways, so this is a battery pack I made that would show 12 volts, or that would produce 12 volts. I brought the car charger down here. I was going to try that, but it's not really meant for this type of battery. And then I realized that I have for my 12 volt lithium iron phosphate battery up north. I have the charger for it here, so I figured out which is the see my wires going there. I got to be careful. Which is the positive and the negative, and hooked up the positive and the negative. It puts out 14.6 or 66 volts, which would be the maximum volts for each cell. The only thing I have to be careful is that I do not exceed the 3.65 on any one of these cells. So I have to keep an eye on it because there's no BMS, battery monitoring system. The good thing about this is it puts out 10 amps as opposed to the other one putting out like 4.2 or 4.6. Well, you can see in this whole line of batteries here, I had that hooked up yesterday and brought it from 3.31 up to 3.37, or maybe hovering at 3.38. Now, could you imagine how long it's going to take to do all of these individually? So I'm going to have to do something, which is maybe hook them all up into 12 volt and get the voltage at least close to the top. Yeah, there it's kind of bouncing from 3.7 to 3.38. It's not quite been 24 hours, but it shouldn't take 24 hours just to do one. So I don't know if that bench top is not a very good. I don't know. It's putting out 4.2 amps. It should have charged them, according to everything else I have, but or everything I've read. Yeah, notice I've done something smart here, and I taped this wrench. So if I drop it, you know, you see that? Yeah, if it hits the one side, it won't arc, because this entire battery here will have over 50 volts when it's together. It'll have a lot of power. The other thing I wanted to show was the swamp ash I brought in here is drying actually quite quickly. Now, you have to remember that sometimes the outside will show its you know, once you plane it down a little bit, you'll get more higher moisture readings. But I'm at what, 22 there. Let's see where I am there. Kind of hovering. It has lost a lot of weight, the wood. So the piece that I showed was a 6/4, and underneath I have the heavier 8/4. When I first started, and I had the fan on it in my basement because the house is drier. I was getting cracking on the outside, and you have to watch you can actually surface harden the wood if it dries too quickly in the outside, plus you get cracks. So I haven't bothered putting the fan on it. I could probably do it now because it seems to have kind of dried out quite a bit. You have to air dry wood out to, I believe it's around 25% before you can even put it in a kiln. So if I had a kiln, I could put it in there. I mean, I could probably put it in something warmer and blow warm air through it, but it's drying pretty good. And the stair stringers that I had last year that I brought in, they were also 8/4 when I got them. 8 and 9, I think. And they dried out like fairly quickly. So yeah, I'm once it's drier, I'll weigh them and then get an idea of the weight compared to a regular ash. Okay, that's it for now. 3.33 volts I have supposedly in that one. The first one, this one here, I had that at 3.8 volts this morning, and it's dropped down to 3.4. It's not connected to anything. I don't know what's going on. Anyway, so this is what I've done is made this into a 12 volt system, which makes this go much quicker because now that's set for 14.6 volts and it's drawing more amps and seems to be charging these batteries up fairly quickly. Now, this is in my shop, and I have this hooked up to the 10 amp one. The only problem is I got this hanging here because just trying to see if it starts to get too hot that I can't touch it. Yeah, it's getting there. I don't know why it's doing that. I can only assume it's that this draws more power, or there's something wrong with my batteries. I don't know. So I turn the power off and it drops down to 3.31. I don't know what the heck's going on here. Why they're losing power. This shouldn't be happening. Let's try this one. hard to do. This is hard to do one-handed. Okay, hook that one up there, and then see what I've got in this. 3.31. And the batteries I've taken out from that. This one here, I kind of took it out because it's got a loose top. I'm gonna have to glue that in. You got to remember that the metal around here is actually positive. There actually is a current, so you have to be really careful. So it's not just that where there's power coming out of. If you scratch the sides or it rubs off or that comes off, like you can see the metal there. I don't know why that's like that, but yeah, 3.31. That's kind of disappointing. I thought this charger seemed to be working really well yesterday, and yeah, that's pretty hot. I don't know what's going on. All right, okay. So I've turned that off. The one battery I had was so these batteries here, like this one here, is hooked up for 12 volts. So that's the negative terminal there. I put this little bus bar here, just it's easier to clamp onto. And then you go from there, you go, the black is positive for some reason, I don't know. You go the positive to the negative of the next battery, then over here, you go to the positive to the negative of the next battery, and a positive and negative. And then here I have another bus bar going out. So 4 of these makes 12 volts. I go up to about 14.6 volts maximum. That's what I was using to charge it. So now I gotta take these and I have to flip them, because this cell here, I had this on the charger last night and it got up to 3.55 volts. So it was getting up to its maximum of 3.6. For some reason, these here have all gone down to 3.3. I don't know what's going on. I'm going up north tomorrow, so I'm going to flip these around, put them in parallel. So all the negatives will be on that side, and then all the positives will be here. And yeah, I will probably set the charge at maybe 3.4 volts or 3.34. I'm not too sure, but okay. So this is what it's come to. I have a fan blowing on the I guess the transformer for the 14.8 volt with 16 amp, I think it was, charger for 12 volts. That is usual set for 3.65 volts. It's drawing 4.57 amps. I kind of adjusted it a little, try to adjust it a little bit higher. And this is what I've done with my batteries. So the first 8 are connected to the bench charger, and they've gone up as high as, I think it's 3.6. And then what I'm using the fan for, I refigured this thing here, thinking if I put thicker gauge wire in, I'd have less resistance and it would go quicker. But it really didn't make any difference. And then finally, I have this hook up here. So rather than taking the batteries and switching them around, which is actually giving me a pain in the shoulder to the point where I can't sleep at night. So what I've done is I've gone negative to positive. So that would be negative to positive. This is the main positive here. Negative to positive, negative to positive. That's the main negative there. So that gives me a 12 volt battery, which was at about 13.2. And I hooked it up to a car charger. that can take 15 amps or give me 15 amps. It says at 60%. I haven't set for gel because it doesn't have a lithium setting. You hear the fans on, so it's working fairly hard. Like I said, I've done more research. And um, the voltages that I should be looking for would be between, so for each cell would be 3.1 volts to 3.4 volts. I watched the Off-Grid Garage, and he tests these things really, like he really tests them out, and so he came up with the low point of 3.1. He says the curve starts to drop off a lot then. So you're really not getting very much more. It's just like if you try and go above 3.4 volts for each cell. You're really not getting very much, but you're stressing the cell out. So some people go to less than 3.4, but I'm going to try and get these all up to 3.4 volts. Not like most of the people I watch say to go up to 3.65 volts or 3.6. I'm only going to go to 3.4. I don't know when I'm going to get the battery box done, so I don't want to have like fully charged batteries at that point sitting around for a long time. So I'm going to go up to 3.4 volts. The other thing I learned, I'm really starting to learn this stuff now. Maybe I don't want to, I don't know. But if I set my bench top to 3.4 volts and then let it saturate the batteries, what happens is eventually the amperage drops down to like 0.1 milliamp. And when that happens, you're 100% charged. So you're 100% charged at 3.4 volts. It takes a long time. However, you can get there quicker with a higher voltage, but if you stay at 3.4 and I'm at 1 milliamp for charging these batteries up, then they're 100% fully charged, and that means they should be 100% balanced. So I attached that to the last cell there. That cell had been previously charged over 3.4 volts. So that one seemed to spike a little bit more above the rest. So I want to keep an eye on that one. And then when I get my charging done on that one, I will, like when I get up to the right, to 3.9 volts, I will disconnect it and then hook everything back up in parallel again. It says it's 18 in here, but I don't believe it. Minus 12 outside this morning. It came down, it was minus 19, so probably get down to about minus 21 overnight. Last night, it was probably down to about minus 25. Yesterday morning, it was 10 degrees in here. This morning, it was 11 degrees in here. So we got the fire going. Working on getting the tin behind the fireplace. I have to try and figure that out up there. I'm gonna seal that, and I'm putting so at the top here I wanted to put a J mold around. You can't see that. Okay, it's right there. Yeah, put a J mold around against the pine, and then slip the drywall into that, and then it has a finished edge at the edge, and then I won't put a, yeah, dropping the camera down. My arm must be weak. And then dropping the not having to put some kind of a molding in there. Like, in other words, just tape up to that and then carefully paint up to it. So we've been up here for this is the third day up here. It was quite warm when we got here. The end of the laneway was packed with snow from the snowplow. We thought if we cleared that out that maybe we could drive in, but it wasn't like Southern Ontario. So we came up here, it's the opposite of like going to Florida. Like, we used to go to Florida and you leave here and it'd be snow and cold, and then it would get warmer and warmer. So we left home, it was 2 degrees. There wasn't really any snow, just in a few piles. To up here where there had been lots of snow, from the storm, I guess, around Christmas. The thaw did not get rid of it all. And so you had a layer of maybe in spots 6 inches deep that just froze. It was just ice because it got cold. And then it snowed on top. So it's been pretty treacherous to try and walk around here because you start sliding on the ice that's underneath the snow. And we had someone come with a snowplow, and he could only get the township snowplow had plowed in at the end of the laneway. He can only get in far enough, like, to put a vehicle in or two. And then the other problem that we had, there's our ATV battery. It had discharged down to, I think it was only 3.6. It was really low. That's the marine battery from the boat. We use that to run the pump. And then that one there, we used to have, we have that hooked up to an internet booster. So we have internet. Anyway, so that battery, which I bought new last year, has obviously been damaged. I'm trying to get it up. If I can get it up to stay above 12, I can get the ATV going, which is going to help. Getting everything back up to the vehicle when we leave tomorrow. Bringing the stuff down. I brought a sled from home, and we have one of those long carrying sleds up here, and so we were able to bring everything here, but it's all downhill. So then when we go, it's going to be all uphill. So I hope I can get the ATV going so we can get everything packed and take it up there with the ATV and then just walk back at the end. Another thing that happened to us yesterday. Okay, see the white pipe coming out of there? That is, when it's raining, we swing that around and hook it up to the downspout there, and that fills the water tank up in the basement. So yesterday morning, the water stopped. So I didn't know what it was, if the tank was empty. It took a while before I finally come in where it's warm. Took a while before I finally figured out what the problem was. Went downstairs, looked at the tank, and there was about a half an inch of frozen ice on top. And I guess what happens is because the building calls for air when there's a fire on, because there's air going up the chimney, is coming in that pipe, froze the water in the tank, because the basement wasn't that cold. It was still relatively warm. Froze enough in the pipe, so I had to take the pipe off and sent it up to Barbara, and she put it close to the fire and thawed it out, and we got water again, which was really nice, because not having running water, I mean, right now the water is like super cold, but at least it's running water and we can use a toilet and wash our hands. Drinking water we get from a spring in Restool, and there's one even closer. So we're okay water wise. Yeah, and it's getting heat in here. The first day it was, I don't think anything had really frozen too badly or had frozen at all, because it was, I think, about +2 or something like that in here when we got here. And there's no signs of anything having frozen. So all that worry that I did, I guess it's been warm enough this year. Last year we came up the end of December and all the freshwater jugs were frozen. The water tank had 1.5 to 2 inches of ice on top of it. So it's been pretty mild up here. -25 isn't that cold for up here. It can go to -40. Um, so yeah, that's what I'm working on today is the tin. I gotta get some more nails and then finish putting that J molding up, and then do the layout and mark it out, and I'll videotape some of that. Okay, so I got started up here. If you can see that J molding, it ended up running into that steel. That's the through the floor joist chimney pipe section. I'd taken the screws off. I think I was going to try and slip the plastic in behind there. I thought it was actually pretty hot up there, so I don't know. It's much lower than the drywall. I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to finish that. So I figured out the layout for the um, tin, duh. And I pre-drill some of the holes. So you can see up there where that J mold goes. If my camera will stay straight. It's it'll hide in the drywall. How I'm going to finish that exactly, I'm not too sure later on. But I'm first things first, and I got to pre-drill that part down there, and then drill through both of them on this side, and then I got to slip the bottom one in underneath here, so they line up, and then drill through there, and yeah, see how much of this I can videotape. I've done tin before. This is from, tin is from, how can I forget his name? It's in, shoot. I'll put it down on the screen later.